Hi, my name is Megan Griffith, and I will be talking about what's the big deal with drag bans and its destruction of the trans community. So, originally, drag was just seen as cross dressing and mocking of women. However, over the years, drag has become more than that. It is now an art form expressing the concept of gender fluidity. This can be done through multiple ways, one being storytelling hour, more so commonly balls or lip syncs. Cross-dressing has increased in popularity over the years. One of the more notable cross-dressers being Robin Williams as Miss Doubtfire, but cross-dressing has always been in comedy and theater, um, dating back to Shakespeare theater, where he'd have men portray women because women weren't allowed in the theater back then, weren't allowed to act, have a man do it. They can do everything, right? Drag has become such a big phenomenon since then that RuPaul's Drag Race has become a staple of gay pop culture with 15 regular seasons and starting the next Friday here in May, 8 seasons of an All Stars. But what is going on with these anti drag bills? Well, we are seeing in states such as Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Tennessee, that they are introducing these unconstitutional anti drag bills that are targeting certain groups of um, certain communities within America. So some of these laws include we're seeing Tennessee restricts drag queens in the presence of children. This is directly related to the storytelling hours, as I mentioned a little bit back ago, where consenting parents, would bring their children to a library where a pretty drag queen in a pretty dress would read them a fairy tale story. Very PG, if you ask me. Separate legislation restricts gender affirming care. So this is refers to anyone who is seeking health care that is gender affirming to their identity. This relates to the trans community, really. As a cis person, I've never had to face the challenges or the hardships of finding a doctor that will take me as a client because I'm a female, but as a trans woman, it is much harder to find an OBGYN that specializes in your field and that will take you as a client. And anyone facing the drag ban can face a misdemeanor of $2,500 or 1 year in jail. This is a very vague law because anyone violating this drag ban is under the category of a man presenting feminine or a female presenting masculine. Anyone who just looks off, can be subject to these anti drag bills and face a year into jail just from walking on the streets in their neighborhood. And what most people don't realize is that trans does not mean drag queen. They're two different people. A trans person isn't a drag queen. They're not um, putting on these extreme costumes and going out living in drag day to day. They're living their lives as a trans person on the daily. And we're seeing with government legislation that they are purposely getting rid of the LGBTQIA plus history and taking extremely emotional restraint against an entire culture, basically eradicating healthcare and basically just erasing trans identif- trans community and the drag community. As of recent, more and more drag queens have been testifying in court against these anti drag bills, taking a direct engagement style to explain how these anti drag bans don't only affect drag queens, but also affect the trans community. which is crazy because today we're seeing so many more drag queens in mainstream medias. We have Jinx Monsoon, who is performing on Broadway in the musical Chicago, and there's so many others that are just traveling the world who are just showcasing their true, unique selves in front of a fan base who honestly loves it. This here is a world tour put on by Voss Events. They travel Asia, Europe, America, Australia. You can name it. They travel everywhere for fans to see these drag queens who have been contestants on RuPaul's Drag Race. However, while at these drag shows, more and more protests are happening because of these anti-drag bills. The opposing group or the protesters want to say drag isn't safe for children. And I mean, there's nothing safer for children than guns, according to them, really. I mean, they'll put a gun in their child's hand at the age of 3, but won't take them to a drag show. They're coming in with more violent, targeting, aggressive language at these drag shows, creating not a fun, engaging place. Kind of creates a very just conflicted area where you just don't want to be. You don't want to be in this situation or environment. It's so just toxic, which is what I think the other side needs to, where I think the other side needs to understand the difference between trans community and drag before imposing unconstitutional laws. Let people live. That's really all I can say. They live their life how they want to, and they're doing fine. You're doing your stuff just fine. Why can't we all just be happy? And if there's one thing I learned that I always remember is if you can't love yourself, then how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? And that was from Mr. RuPaul himself. So maybe the opposing side should do some soul searching. And then I found my research articles on The Guardian and NPR, and I used the journal Performative Discourse of Drag Queens, a Socio-Linguistic Study. Thank you.